Trump. But what do you make of Elon Musk and the whole DOGE thing, but also the vicious reaction from the woke left, who, of course, originally had him as their green energy savior?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me in the least if half the money that the American government spent, the Canadian government as well, the British government, governments as such, is like utter waste. And worse than that, like positively counterproductive. And it's certainly the case that Musk is the kind of managerial businessman who's very detail oriented. He's an engineer. Engineers know how things work from the atoms upward. I have many engineers as friends, and I've watched them run companies, and the good ones know everything about how their enterprises operate, and they pay attention to every detail. And Musk is definitely one of those people. And we know that because he's done 5 impossible things at least. And then he bought Twitter and he cut its staff by 75% and made it work better, despite the fact that his advertising base collapsed. And he did that despite the fact as well that everyone thought it was a mad move, you know, economically and practically. And so I think it's great that Musk and his team of, you know, brilliant young engineers are going through the budget line by line, trying to figure out where all the idiot money goes. And I think the left is appalled by that because they've set up an entire network of so-called non-governmental agencies, organizations, NGOs, that are essentially funded by taxpayer money that run their, you know, quasi-criminal radical enterprises all around the world. And now the gravy train has ceased to operate. And so it's not surprising they're unhappy about that. But thank God for that, as far as I'm concerned, especially given the catastrophic levels of debt that the American government, Western governments everywhere are carrying. This is absolutely necessary. You know, and for some reason, you know, the left is skeptical of big business because they don't trust capitalists, even though capitalists have made the world wealthy and almost eradicated absolute poverty all around the world, especially since the Berlin Wall fell, and done that far more cleanly than socialist or communist governments everywhere by a huge amount. Apparently, the radicals think that big government is trustworthy, even though big is the problem. And they believe that because good-thinking moralists like themselves are in charge and have the wisdom and the intelligence, and this is also what Carney believes fervently, to believe that they could operate by central planning principles and make the world a much better place. And we know what happens when that happens, Pierce. We know what's happened to Germany, where energy prices are 5 times what they should be, and they cause more pollution than they did 10 years ago before these idiot green policies were put in place. Then there's you characters in the UK, and you guys can't even make steel anymore. And if you think that's progress, well, then you deserve the poverty that's coming down the pipes at you very, very rapidly. And there's no evidence whatsoever that any of these policies have produced even the tiniest transformation in levels of carbon dioxide output, not in the least, especially not with China and India thinking that the West has gone out of its mind absolutely and, you know, making their own way forward to an industrial future. And the whole bloody climate thing is a scam from top to bottom anyways. And everything about it is a lie. And that's a terrible thing to understand. And people don't want to understand that, and no wonder. But that doesn't mean it isn't true. So, yeah, sad.